Trump compares with China. Will establish WHO 2.0. WHO's funding source? According to Reuters, the US's decision to leave is a direct blow to the funding source of WHO, the world's leading public health organization. Since its establishment in 1948, WHO's operating budget has mainly come from two sources: membership fees, mandatory, and funding, voluntary. WHO has 194 members. Each member must pay a certain amount to join the organization, membership fees. This amount is considered based on the population and economy of each country. About funding. This is a voluntary contribution from members, as well as from charitable partners to WHO. Funding is often used for specific programs. However, in recent years, WHO has become increasingly dependent on funding, and the US, the country with the most developed economy in the world, is the most generous donor to WHO. According to Reuters, in the 2022-2023 budget period, WHO's operating costs are $6.4 billion, of which membership fees account for only 12% of the total budget. The largest donor leaves. According to CNN, since the WHO was founded, the US has always been the leading donor to this organization. In the WHO's budget for the 2022-2023 period, the US contributed about $1.3 billion, accounting for 16.3%. Other leading donors to WHO are Germany, $856 million. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, $830 million. The Gavi Vaccine Alliance, $481 million, and the European Commission, $468 million. It is worth noting that of the $1.3 billion that the US contributed, only about $218 million was for membership fees. The remaining $1 billion is all voluntary funding. In the 2024-2025 period, the WHO budget is about $6.8 billion, of which the US contributes up to 18%. According to WHO, the US plays an important role in the World Health Organization's global tuberculosis and HIV/AIDS prevention programs. In response to epidemics, emergencies, the US has cooperated with WHO to prevent mpox, monkeypox, in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Since March 2024, the US has funded more than $22 million for mpox efforts. In 2024, the US also cooperated with Rwanda and WHO to handle the Marburg outbreak, 50% fatality rate, in the Central and Eastern Africa region. According to Reuters, US President Donald Trump's decision to withdraw the US from the WHO is not only a hard blow to the budget but also affects the future operation of the World Health Organization. This announcement makes our financial situation more serious and will create significant concern and uncertainty for WHO members, said WHO Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus. How much does China contribute? On January 26, speaking at an event in Las Vegas, USA, Trump told a crowd of supporters that he could consider letting the US rejoin the World Health Organization. However, Trump said he was unhappy that the US had to pay more for the WHO than China, a country with a larger population. According to CBS News, the population of China, the country with the second most developed economy in the world, is about 1.4 billion people. The population of the US is more than 345 million people. According to Reuters, China's contributions to the WHO have increased by 52% since 2024. But are still small compared to the US. In the WHO's 2022-2023 budget period, China contributed $115 million in membership fees, while the US had to pay $219 million. Nearly double. China's voluntary contributions, funding, to the WHO were $41 million, while the US funded more than $1 billion. According to WHO data, in 2024 alone, the US funded a total of $958 million, accounting for nearly 20% of the organization's annual budget. China's contribution for the entire year of 2024 is $203 million. China currently ranks 8th in terms of funding scale for the WHO. behind organizations such as the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the World Bank, WB, and countries such as Germany and the UK. However, if China is willing to contribute more and fill the financial gap left by the US, it will rewrite the history of the WHO. According to The Telegraph, the role of the WHO should only be strengthened, not weakened, a Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman said, following Mr. Trump's order to withdraw the US from the WHO. Who is ready to shoulder the burden of WHO? According to CNN, China, the world's second richest country, after the US, can increase funding for WHO. But it is unlikely to be able to take on the budget that the US left behind. In addition, China seems to have little interest in multilateralism in global health. Instead, Beijing prefers bilateral, mutually beneficial agreements, where China can work directly with the countries it supports. China's participation in global health forums, such as at the World Health Assembly, is still limited, said Chinese and Thai scholars in the Global Health Journal. As for the European Union, EU, they are busy dealing with the Russia-Ukraine conflict and are falling into economic tensions. According to Health Policy, since the conflict began, the EU and its member states have provided more than $140 billion in financial, military, humanitarian and refugee aid to Ukraine. The EU said, U.S. founding WHO 2.0. According to Health Policy, the U.S. could weaken its own healthcare system by withdrawing from the WHO. For example, if a disease threatens to become a pandemic, the U.S. would be among the last to receive information, since it is outside the WHO. However, in November 2024, Trump announced that he could form a new health alliance, made up of countries with a strong commitment to health, sovereignty and freedom. If this plan fails, the US could pay a heavy price because it is the leading country and has to build a global, highly specialized organization from scratch. According to Health Policy,